The night he cuffed me, I learned two things. 1. Truth can be manufactured if you sound like you mean it. 2. A man like Detective Cole Arden doesn't need to raise his voice to ruin you. He said my name like evidence, looked at me like a crime scene he wanted to reopen, and when he asked the first question, the air in that room forgot how to move. People think confession is about guilt. They're wrong. It's about what you're willing to expose when someone is close enough to hear your heartbeat lie. So yes, I lied. I'd do it again. Because before the night was over, he'd stop chasing my crime and start confessing his own. If this already has your pulse racing, don't just watch, like, subscribe, and flood the comments with hypes. Every click keeps the story alive. Every share brings another heartbeat into our world. Let's make this community grow, one confession at a time. The clock over the precinct door ticks past midnight when they drag her in. Rainwater glitters down her sleeves, pooling beneath the chair. Her wrists are still marked from the cuffs, thin bruises, like a memory she isn't ready to explain. Detective Cole Arden watches from behind the glass for a full minute before entering. He reads her file once, twice, then he looks up, really looks, and the rest of the world falls away. He starts easy. Name. Address. Reason for being at the warehouse. Her answers are smooth, almost rehearsed, voice steady as candlelight. He keeps asking, tone patient, eyes unforgiving. Every pause feels longer, heavier, until it's not an interrogation anymore. It's a duel. When she smiles, it's the kind that tastes like danger. Maybe you're asking the wrong questions, detective. He leans back, lets the silence do the work. Files shuffle. The overhead light hums. Then, softly, he stands and circles her, the way a storm circles a coastline it's already claimed. You know what I see when I look at you? She doesn't answer. He stops behind her chair. A woman who lies like it's the only language she ever learned. Her breath catches just once. He hears it, files it away like evidence. He moves closer, too close, until she can feel the gravity of him, the authority in the air itself bending toward heat. Tell me why you were really there. Her gaze flicks up, defiant, a spark that dares the match to strike. I already did. His jaw tightens. The space between them narrows until truth and lie are indistinguishable. He presses both hands on the table, voice lowering until it's more warning than sound. If you're lying, he murmurs, you'll confess to me, one way or another. The light flickers. Outside, thunder rolls across the city. And for the first time, she wonders which will burn faster, her secret, or the man trying to uncover it. The next night she comes back on her own. No handcuffs, no escort. Just rain again, like the weather remembers what they did last time. Cole is already waiting inside interrogation room number 3. Smaller space, lower light. The hum of the single bulb feels intimate, almost complicit. He doesn't look up right away, just slides a file across the table and says, "You changed your statement." She sits, calm, tilting her chin in quiet defiance. I remembered things differently. His eyes lift then, sharp, assessing. That's not remembering, that's editing. She leans back, lets the chair creak. Same thing when cops do it, isn't it? That lands. His expression doesn't shift, but something in the air does, like static before lightning. He steps closer, hands braced on the table. Her pulse answers before she can help it. Each question comes slower now, voice rough around the edges, as though curiosity is something dangerous he's trying not to touch. Every answer she gives slides between truth and temptation, syllables soft enough to bruise. When she lies again, he knows. He reaches across the table, fingers catching her wrist, pressing her palm flat against the cold metal. Not to restrain, just to remind her who's in control. The moment stills. The air thickens. Skin hums under command. Silence folds around them like velvet. She should pull away. She doesn't. His breath ghosts near her temple, low enough to count the seconds between their restraint and something else entirely. For a heartbeat, the room forgets its purpose. Then the door bursts open. Fluorescent light floods in, harsh and guilty. Another officer stands frozen in the doorway, eyes darting between them, his hand still on hers, her pulse still reckless beneath it. Too late to pretend nothing happened. Too early to admit what almost did. Cole straightens slowly, voice turning to steel. Interview suspended. He walks out without looking back. She sits there, hand still trembling on the table, watching the space he left behind burn like evidence she'll never destroy. He tells himself it's surveillance. That's what keeps him in the car outside her apartment, headlights dimmed, fingers drumming against the steering wheel like he's timing her sins. But the clock keeps moving, and so does she. When she slips out of the building, coat drawn tight, she doesn't run. She drifts through the city like she owns the shadows. Cole follows. Quiet, professional, pretending this isn't personal. Rain paints everything silver. Windows, asphalt, the line he keeps crossing. Every step she takes seems to know exactly where he'll be next. She turns a corner into the narrow street behind the pier, and then stops. He stops too. The distance between them stretches thin, trembling, before she speaks without turning around. "You're off duty, detective." He should walk away. Instead, he steps closer. "So are you." She half laughs, the sound low and reckless. "You think this is still an interrogation?" "Everything's an interrogation with you," he says. "You just haven't decided what you want to confess yet." She spins to face him. The rain catches in her lashes, dripping like tears that never earned permission. "You keep following me. What are you looking for?" "The truth." She takes a step back, and another, until her spine meets the brick wall of the alley. He keeps moving forward until the storm itself seems to hold its breath. Their eyes lock, his anger against her defiance, both of them waiting for the other to break first. Breath fogs between them, close enough to taste the unsaid. He braces one hand beside her head, the other hovering near his badge like a conscience he might still obey. "You don't even know what you're hiding anymore," he says quietly. "Don't I?" she whispers. "Then why do you keep chasing me?" The question slips under his skin like a spark looking for fuel. For one dangerous heartbeat, the world narrows to that doorway, that breath, that impossible space between touch and ruin. Then she drops it, soft, deliberate. A name, his partner's. Everything freezes, the storm, the air, the pulse between them. He steps back, eyes gone sharp, voice raw. "Say that again." She does. And this time, he hears not just a name, but a truth that doesn't belong to her at all. It belongs to the past, the one he buried, the one that just clawed its way back through her mouth. "You knew him," he says. Her silence answers before she can. The rain starts again, harder. The line he thought he could keep between duty and desire dissolves in the downpour. He turns away, every step heavier than the last, the echo of her voice following him through the storm. The proof that her lie isn't just about the case. It's about him. The next morning, his badge weighs heavier than it ever has. He doesn't report the name she said. He doesn't tell his chief she's connected to the one ghost that still wakes him up at night. Instead, he makes the worst professional decision of his life. He brings her in as an informant. They sit side by side in his unmarked car, silence pooling between them. Her hands stay folded on her lap, his stay clenched on the steering wheel, knuckles white against control. The city bleeds into twilight as they drive north, to the place she swears will lead them to the men who killed his partner. When the signal dies, they pull into a forgotten motel off the highway. Flickering neon, one working lamp, one room. Inside, the air smells like dust and old rain. She tosses her coat onto the chair, scanning the room with cautious eyes that never quite land on him. He calls it temporary. She calls it convenient. Both of them know it's dangerous. One bed, one window, and a night that refuses to end quietly. He takes first watch, sitting by the window, gun on the table, eyes tracing the ghost of her reflection on the glass. She's curled up against the wall, eyes half open, studying him the way he studied her once, looking for weakness, finding something else. Minutes stretch, hours blur. The air thickens until it stops belonging to the room. When she stirs, it's to reach for the lighter on the table. He catches her hand halfway, fingers brushing hers. Neither of them move. Heat trapped between palms, breath caught between words they shouldn't say. The flame flares to life, small, golden, dangerous. For a second, their eyes meet in its glow. It's not firelight, it's confession. He lets go first, barely, just enough for her to light the candle beside the bed, just enough for him to remember they're not alone here. Not really. Outside, headlights flash. A car passes. The world doesn't care what's unraveling in this room. Her voice comes soft. You ever think about what comes after all this? He doesn't answer, because he's thinking about the way her trust feels like a loaded weapon pointed at his chest. When she finally drifts to sleep, he stays where he is, watching her reflection breathe in the glass, fighting the urge to reach for something he knows he shouldn't want. Then his phone buzzes. The vibration rattles through the silence. He checks the screen. Chief Daniels. One message. Short. Final. Arrest her. By dawn. The lighter's flame flickers. Outside, the first siren cuts through the night. And Detective Cole Arden finally realizes this stakeout wasn't for the enemy. It was for him. The sky outside the motel window is still bruised with dawn when Cole makes his choice. He doesn't call it in. He just stands there, watching her sleep, memorizing the quiet before the fall. When she wakes, the air's already different. He's in uniform again. The badge glints like judgment, and in his hand, the cuffs. She doesn't fight when he steps forward, just looks at him once, searching for mercy and finding none. He says nothing as he closes the metal around her wrists, slower this time, deliberate, as if he's trying to remember what control is supposed to feel like. The sound clicks through the room like a heartbeat breaking in two. She exhales, soft. Will you still believe me when I tell you the truth? He doesn't answer. He can't. They drive in silence back to the precinct. Rain follows them all the way, whispering against the windshield like it knows how this ends. Inside the interrogation room, she sits where she always does, chin high, eyes steady, but her voice isn't sharp anymore. It's quieter, honest in a way that hurts. I lied, she says, not for who you think. The man who killed your partner. I covered for him because if I didn't, they would have buried me next to him. The words hit like a trigger pull. Every breath in him turns to ash. He steps back, one hand gripping the table as though it might stop the room from spinning. You protected him? I protected myself. I thought I could make it right. I thought if I found proof, if I gave you something bigger, maybe... Her voice cracks. Maybe you'd understand. He looks at her like he's never seen her before. Rage burns through sorrow, melts into something heavier, something that feels too much like grief. He rounds the table. For a moment, she thinks he's going to shout. He doesn't. He just leans down until their foreheads nearly touch, breath trembling between them. Tears trace down her cheeks, mixing with his when he finally exhales. No forgiveness is spoken. It's tasted, raw, fragile, forbidden. The kind of closeness that doesn't heal, only reminds you you're still alive. When the first light spills through the blinds, he reaches across the table and hits record. Her confession hangs in the air like smoke. Then, he picks up the recorder again and crushes it. The plastic cracks. The tape unspools across the floor. The sound is final. He looks at her one last time, eyes unreadable. Now nobody knows, he says quietly, except us. The siren outside begins to rise. Someone's coming. But in that small room, the only thing louder than the alarm is the silence between them, the one that sounds like the start of something neither of them can survive. The recorder lies in pieces on the floor when the sirens finally arrive. Cole doesn't wait to hear who they're for. He grabs her hand, drags her through the back exit, and they vanish into the storm before the building even breathes out smoke. For 2 days, they drive without destination. Cheap motels, back roads, no names. She keeps count of the miles. He keeps count of the lies piling up behind them. At a roadside diner, she watches him eat in silence, his badge hidden in the glove box beside a gun he hasn't decided to keep. He catches her staring. "What?" "You don't look like a man running," she says. "Maybe I've been running longer than you think." He teaches her how to disappear, how to use payphones, how to read faces, how to leave a town before dawn without being remembered. She teaches him something harder, how to let go of the rules that never saved either of them. Every night feels borrowed, fragile. They sleep with the lights off and the windows open, storm wind curling around them like a warning. When thunder cracks, it matches the rhythm inside the dark. 2 broken pulses finding tempo, control traded like currency. Each time it rains, they come a little closer to something neither of them can name. By the 3rd night, the radio catches up to them. A bulletin. Detective Cole Arden wanted for obstruction of justice and aiding a criminal informant. His picture, her file, their names bound together by law. He turns off the sound, jaw tight. She watches him in the reflection of the windshield, the same way he once watched her in that motel window. "Tell me the truth now," he says quietly. "Who was he really? The man you thought killed my partner?" Her lips part, but nothing comes out. Because the truth she's carried is shifting shape in her hands. Later that night, lightning hits close enough to shake the walls. She reaches for him, whispering the name that's haunted them both. He goes still. That name. It isn't the one in the case file. It's one that belongs to his own precinct. Someone inside the force. Someone he trusted. He stands there, soaked in silence, realization cutting through him like a clean wound. All this time, she wasn't the enemy. She was the decoy, the bait in a hunt that was never hers. She steps closer, voice breaking. "Now you know why I ran." He looks at her, eyes dark with the kind of fury that only comes from love and betrayal tangled together. The storm outside swells, drowning the world in noise. He whispers, "Then we stop running." The thunder answers for them both. They make it 3 nights before the world catches up. The news breaks at dawn, his face on every channel, her name painted as the reason a good cop went dark. By noon, Cole knows it's over. By dusk, the message arrives, from the one man he once trusted more than anyone. "Meet me, alone." His mentor, Captain Rains, the man who taught him to shoot straight, think straight, and never mix blood with mercy. Cole leaves her in the motel room with a promise he can't keep. When he returns, the silence tells her everything. Rains has found them, and the deal is cruelly simple. Bring her in, or lose his badge, his life, and any chance of clearing his partner's name. Cole stands in the doorway, rain dripping from his jacket, expression carved from stone. She knows before he speaks. "You have to arrest me," she says softly. "It's the only way they'll stop." He shakes his head. "No, they won't stop. Not after this." She steps closer, fingers brushing the cuff at his belt, the one he used the first night they met. Her voice trembles, but not from fear. "Then let me surrender." He catches her wrist, pulls her against him, rough, desperate, unguarded. "Don't call it surrender," he murmurs. "Not when you're the only thing I ever fought for." Outside, sirens begin to wail, distant at first, then nearer, louder, relentless. She looks up at him, eyes full of storm. "Cole, please." He reaches into his pocket, takes out his badge. The metal glints once under the hallway light, then falls. It hits the floor with a sound that feels like a verdict. The sirens stop at the door. Red and blue spill through the window like blood and confession. He kisses her once, slow, like a man signing a confession he's already memorized. Their last embrace tastes of war and surrender, salt, rain, regret. The door bursts open, shouted orders, the flash of drawn weapons. Cole turns, shielding her with his body, shouting something lost in the noise. A single shot cracks through the air. The lights explode into darkness. For a heartbeat, the world goes still. One gunfire, one breath cut short, one body falling. Then only the rain again, whispering over the sirens. The world returns in fragments. A white ceiling, an oxygen hum, the steady pulse of something that refuses to die. She blinks through the light. The room smells of antiseptic and rain. Her wrists are bandaged where the cuffs once were, and on the chair beside her, his jacket, still damp, still warm with memory. No one tells her where he is. They don't have to. The silence already knows. Then the nurse sets a small evidence bag on the table. Inside, a recorder. Cracked, repaired, its red light flickering weakly back to life. She presses play. His voice fills the room. Calm, steady, too alive for a dead man. This is Detective Cole Arden, Case File 413 amended. Statement follows. She grips the blanket, breath catching as he continues. I destroyed evidence. I withheld truth. I broke the law to protect someone who lied to me. And I'd do it again. Because the lie wasn't what killed me. A pause. Then softer. Human. It was the moment I realized I believed her anyway. Her eyes blur. The world sways between heartbreak and worship. She wasn't guilty. Not of what they said. Only of surviving a world that never forgave her for it. So if you're hearing this, know that I don't regret a damn thing. I wasn't a good cop at the end. But I finally told the truth. Static crackles. Then one last line, quiet enough to break her in half. You ruined my case. Now you're my only truth. The tape clicks off. She sits there for a long time, the sound still echoing in her bones. When the nurse returns with her discharge papers, she's already on her feet. No handcuffs this time. No escort. Just the jacket slung over her shoulders and a steadiness she's never known before. Weeks later, she walks out of the courthouse alone. The wind catches the hem of his shirt beneath her coat, the one they found in the evidence locker, pressed and returned like a relic. The reporters shout questions she doesn't answer, because she can still hear him. Not the recording, the voice in her head, the one that said her name like a vow. She crosses the street, blending into the city he died to protect. Rain starts again, soft, unending. And in that sound, she hears it. Not an ending, but a haunting. A promise whispered from somewhere between law and love. You were the lie I wanted to believe. The camera lingers on her silhouette, the woman who destroyed a detective and the man who turned ruin into redemption. Fade to black. A single echo. His voice. One last time. You ruined my case. Now you're my only truth. Silence. Then heartbeat.